Thank you, Ian Powell. Hey guys, Jules here for WhatCulture with another episode of the most insane things happening in wrestling this week. The show that does exactly what it says on the tin in the most annoying way possible. You're welcome. Now, as you can see, there's a bit of admin that we probably need to address before we go on with the show. So thank you so much to Ian Powell for sending this through. When you said you were sending through a giraffe-related piece of merchandise, I thought it'd be a key ring or a mug or a pair of socks or something like that. Nope. Full giraffe outfit. Full giraffe outfit, head to toe. Brilliant. I mean, we'll put a little poll up at the top. Do you want to see me wear this every single week and embarrass myself? It's only my humility. It's not worth much anyway, so yeah, keep that going. Secondly, I just want to talk about the WrestleMania 34 live stream. Just knock my mic off there, but I'm going to keep going because I'm a consummate professional. That live stream that we did ended up being a record-breaking one. It was the most live viewed, concurrent viewers any one time live stream that we've ever had in the history of WhatCulture. So thank you for making that happen. That's a huge deal to us, and it just shows that there's a lot more that we can give to you guys, the fans, and you guys are giving back. So thank you very much for your support, and keep those hashtag having a giraffe memes coming through. Also the Meme Street posse. If you don't know what I'm on about, go watch the stream that Phil and I did for the Raw after WrestleMania. It was quite something. And finally, WrestleMania was pretty f***ing mental, wasn't it? There was so many batshit endings to storylines and weird out-of-nowhere moments that I could have easily filled an entire episode of this just on WrestleMania alone and still add way more than 5 points to talk about. So I'm going to try and move past most of it, but there are a few honourable mentions. Asuka's streak getting ended, Shinsuke Nakamura turning heel, and Braun Strowman winning the Raw Tag Team Championships with a child called Nicholas. Mental. But anyway, let's get on with the show and hit that intro. Oh, Shane McMahon, you cheeky little whippet. You really are out to just prove to the world that you're the hardest man alive, aren't you? After having a really, possibly way too long segment in his match against Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, he finally realised that he had to do the right thing after taking a beating for about what felt like 20 years and let the returning superstar just eclipse him for a minute. It's Daniel Bryan, mate. People are paying to see him. No offense to you, Shane. You're a fine worker, and you know what? Battling diverticulitis and doing hernia and an upcoming hernia surgery and going to WrestleMania and doing all that, yeah, you did actually prove that you are mental and actually a little bit hard. I will give you that. However, the story does not end there, because I don't know if you guys know that after the main event with Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, Brock was a bit pissed off. He went backstage and he apparently hurled his jam belt at Vince McMahon or near him. It hit a wall. Hopefully didn't knock any of those amazing Diamante studs out of it. And apparently Shane McMahon squared up to him. Don't know if you've seen Brock Lesnar. I wouldn't want to do that. I think that would be a very, very bad move. He's one of the most decorated and dangerous men in the industry and MMA. But that just shows how mental that Shane McMahon is. He believed that he was a fitting opponent, even with his diverticulitis and his upcoming hernia surgery, to take on Brock Lesnar. You need to get your head looked at, mate. In fact, Shane McMahon, I have to bust it out straight away early on in the episode. Are you having a giraffe?
Having a giraffe, mate.
Don't know if anyone's told you this, Shane, but your punches do need some work. You throw more fluff than what your dad had to do to get Brock Lesnar to sign on in the WWE in the first place. So keep that in mind next time, all right? Right, so from one side of the sperm pool to the other, let's talk about Stephanie McMahon and how utterly great her match was. I was prepared to hate this. I was really prepared to hate this because she's a sticking point in the office with the amount of ire that she draws in from being self-made when she really isn't, and she's taking credit for all of the things that she really shouldn't be taking credits for, like the Women's Revolution. But her match with Ronda Rousey was utterly brilliant. We were all braced for this to be an absolute skip fire because of the untested nature of Rousey and Steph liking to sort of like big herself up in ways that she probably shouldn't be, but still, this actually was the match of the night. And that's insane to say when I've got AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura, and yet still this is the match of the night. Mental. To be fair, Rousey was fantastic. She dropped this whole sort of meek promo giver that she'd been edging on for the last couple of weeks, and she exploded on Triple H. She talked him, and then she punched him with so many fire blows that it looked like he was going to pop a tit. But I have to give credit where credit is due, because it was actually Stephanie McMahon who cast this spell. Something which she deserves major plaudits for. I mean, she does have a nasty habit of taking credits for things that aren't really entirely hers, but she can and should make mention of this one. She timed her interferences to crowd-spiking perfection. She managed to be an absolute heel in the right ways and got some comeuppance. So all in all, she told a better story than anything else on the card. And again, Shinsuke Nakamura versus AJ. That was guaranteed to be the match of the night. And still, this was my favorite. Go back and watch it separated, like separated from the entire card. Those two matches, tell me I'm wrong. It's so much more entertaining. However, I have to admit something quite embarrassing, even more embarrassing than wearing a full giraffe costume. This only really worked because I fell for it. I fell for the work. Like, the storyline was that we were all just expecting Stephanie McMahon to be absolutely terrible, and then she pulls this out of the bag. So therefore, with great humility, I present to you the new device for all of our shame. Every time the WWE or any wrestling promotion pulls the wool over our eyes to promising effect, I present to you the "You Got Worked" meme.
You got worked.
Oh, expect to see that a lot. So, while Brock Lesnar was busy having a paddy backstage, Roman Reigns, the actual victim of his drive-by elbows, was kicking off in a different way. On the Raw after WrestleMania, he came out to the ring and cut a promo that was bizarrely trying to infer that all of wrestling was a work. A work that he himself wasn't clued up on. This is what he had to say. Everything felt off. The thing that eats me up the most is the fact that Vince McMahon himself couldn't even look me in the eye and smarten me up. So that implies that Roman and Vince and Brock were all working together on something, but then Brock told Vince that he was going to change the plan and that Vince didn't inform Roman. Okay. Yet that's absolutely hilarious to think of. No one is buying this. No one is buying the fact that Vince's lapdog, his little puppy, is going to be made into a pedigree chump by Brock Lesnar without him at least telling him in advance. No one believes that. I know he's meant to be doing a fake worked shoot style promo, but it's not working for us. So you know what? You know that meme I've just introduced about the "you got work" thing? Well, here's the inverse version.
You got worked.
Loki, a man who takes himself quite seriously on the wrestling circuit, is a bit of a strange man. He's pretty decent in the ring, but seems to have an allergy to jobbing, most famously because he refused to go down in PWG against Cesaro of all people, a man who was twice his size. And this week at Bloodsport, he was meant to be going up against Matt Riddle, who's a UFC star, who's now gone into the wrestling circuit and is doing very well for himself. But Loki went out with a neck injury. Now, he might have actually tweaked his neck, but there is some evidence to the contrary, because the commentary team started ripping into him. Now, the whole event was themed around a UFC style of fighting. There were no ropes, it was on like a flat canvas, and all of the missions were done with either knockout or submission variant match stipulations. So the fact that Loki basically no-showed the event has kind of tarnished a bit of credibility with him and the fans. The commentary team basically inferred that he didn't want to eat a pin to somebody who had much more legit in-ring experience than him. And you know what? To be fair, the fans didn't actually miss out that much, because Matt Riddle's new opponent that he drafted in himself was Minoru Suzuki. And if you don't know why that's funny, I'll explain. Basically, to most wrestling fans, Loki is a cosplay version of Suzuki. So they ended up getting a better match, and they managed to rib on him by getting his opponent to come on and say like, oh yeah, this guy couldn't hang, but I definitely can. So Loki might have saved his loss record, but he's definitely lost something with the crowd. And we end on the one, the only Vince McMahon. We're doing the whole sort of McMahon family tree at the moment, and his bizarre bizarre fetish for trying to get rid of the wrestling lexicon. He's decided this week that he doesn't like the word tournament, instead saying that the Raw Tag Team Tournament, which is what it is to decide who will face the bar at the greatest Royal Rumble ever for the Raw Tag Team Champions, is now going to be called the Tag Team Eliminator. Eliminator. Okay, sounds cool, but why though? I mean, what's wrong with the word tournament? I'm genuinely asking, what is wrong with the word tournament? It's the word we use to describe a knockout competition. It's a tournament. Vince, why do you do this? You tried to get rid of, what was it, you got rid of belts? You even got rid of the word wrestling. It's now sports entertainment. Why do you hate your own business? You're absolutely mad, mate. Love you, but you are mad. I mean, what's next? If he keeps on going on, then next week on Raw, the big dog will face the beast incarnate, and he'll be taking down with a vicious hit from a sitting apparatus, which will force him to go into a backstage blitz that will end up resulting in Roman Reigns being sent to a local medical facility. That made it much harder to say that he just got whipped by a chair, sent to the back, and then booted in an ambulance. Why are you making it so difficult for us, Vince? Stop it. And there we have it. Those were the most insane things happening in wrestling this week. Now to close out the show the only way I know how, by reading my favourite comment from last week's episode. And this one is from Milo Ward Thomas, who writes, "Chant for the having a giraffe movement. Hats, 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 hats." Yes, it's inspired by the Yes movement, but look at the beard similarities and tell me it doesn't fit. I like this. I like this a lot. Let's make that happen. And also send me more hats, please, or more silly things like this. I will wear them. I have no shame. You can send them here to this address that'll probably pop up now if Phil's going to do his job right, which he always does, which leads me to my next point. I want to say a big thank you to Michael Sidgwick and Phil Chambers for their continued work on this show, and also a massive thank you to you. You are the reason that I get to keep doing this and having a laugh, having a giraffe, and I don't want to do anything else. I literally feel sick at the thought of actually having to do a real job again. So come on, let's get in this together. Just for a laugh. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and as always, I've been Jules, you've been awesome, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.
So, thanks for watching. Please feel free to click on any of these things around my head, or something terrible might happen to the dog. Too sweet me, bro. Traitor. Traitor.